Oh, hello. Nice out, isn't it? Well, today I thought what we'd do is we'd come to a railway to show you. Now, when this railway was built, there was no intention at all of carrying passengers, although it does. When it was built with freight, king coal in fact, in mind, although it doesn't carry freight anymore. Hang on a minute though, it does. Cream. Yes, you heard me right. Cream. Shall we find out why? Okay, come on with me then, and let's investigate. First lad I've bumped into is Del Tilling. He's in one of the magnificently restored carriages which trundle up and down the line, carrying you to and fro. It's got games and colouring books for the kids and grandkids, and oh yes, the crockery will give you a big clue about that unusual freight I was telling you about. Del's a prime mover on the Elsecar Heritage Railway, and there's no pun intended there at all. He can tell us how and when the railway was built.
Well, this line was actually built in 1850 by the Earl of Rockingham. It followed about 100 years from when he actually built the canal, and of course it all relates to coal. Because I'm sure you know South Yorkshire is basically one big piece of coal.
And it was just built to carry coal, wasn't it?
Well,
really?
Absolutely. Although we have had the occasional passenger train along this humble branch line.
When his lordship decided he wanted to come and visit.
Well, when the king used to come and visit, actually, yes, we had the royal train.
By royal appointment?
Well, yes, occasionally. I think the Earl of Rockingham and Earl Fitzwilliam and King Edward VII were great friends, and both really keen on horse racing. So they used to go off to see the St Leger together, and of course the king would stay at Wentworth Wood House, just up the road there, and they'd come down and jump on the royal train and off to Doncaster.
What sort of condition was it in when you took it over?
Obviously it's been closed for a fair while, and it's taken us, I would say, about 15 years to get her into this condition. We're making good progress. We've just put a level crossing in down at Tinglebridge Lane, and our next destination will be Corton
Wood. Yeah. What experience can we have coming here? I notice we've got these wonderful cups and plates laid out, and that's part of the thing. Because one thing that you do carry freight-wise now is cream, isn't it? Because you are rather famous for your cream teas.
Well, we've had the most successful year since we started doing cream teas this year, actually. We bring the cream in from Cornwall. It actually comes overnight, and then on the next day it's served to our customers on the train.
So that is a lovely experience. Actually, looking at these coaches, it takes you back a bit, doesn't it? Now, I think at one time every boy had a train set. I know I had a Hornby double myself, and you sort of grow out of it. But you guys, you haven't grown out of it. You still play trains.
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit more than that. They're absolutely fascinating things. They're practically living beings, the steam engines anyway. And I think if you do get that thrill as a boy of having one go past you a few feet away at 100 miles an hour, as I used to when I used to go to Grantham.
Oh, right.
Then it sort of stays with you. And
it gets in your blood.
It certainly does. And I've been here now just 2 or 3 years actually, but I learned to be a fireman on the Isle of Wight Railway.
You're a past fireman.
Well, I guess so.
Yeah.
And here we've got the Mardy Monster, which is the most powerful industrial loco ever built. She's just sitting over there. It's great fun, actually.
We'll have a look at that locomotive later in the programme, by the way. But actually, talking about that, it takes time to put them together, to make them work. Somebody's got to sell tickets. Somebody's got to make the cream teas. And you rely on volunteers now. Say some of the boys and girls who are out there are thinking, I'm retired now, I could do with something. Do you welcome volunteers here?
Well, absolutely. We've only got about 100 members, which is relatively small when you compare us with, say, the larger heritage railways such as North York Moors or Keighley and Worth Valley, which are not too far away. And of that 100, we've probably only got about 25 or so that are active. But on the other hand, we're a fairly small line, and it's fairly easy to manage. But now we're expanding to Corton Wood. We really do need as much help as possible.
So anybody can come along here. Say, I want to ride, but I'd like to come and work here, and they'd be welcome.
Well, they often do. People who come and now drive the locomotive experience courses, they often join us as volunteers.
And that's a great thing. You can come and learn to drive, can't you? Even if you're not going to volunteer, you can still do that.
Still come and hide the engine for an hour and
yeah.
go up and down our gradients, which are quite challenging, and have lots of fun.
And that's the main thing, isn't it? It's
really
all fun here. But on a serious business, we've mentioned Corton Wood because you are looking to expand now, aren't you? But first of all, what's taken a long time, and you've now done it, you've got the famous level crossing, and it even made Look North, didn't it?
It did, yes. And it's taken us about 15 years, but now that level crossing's in place, we can push on towards Corton Wood. The only obstacles are about 3,000 trees that have sprouted over the last... Well, since the line was closed, they've had 25 years or so to grow, and they are about 25 feet high, some of them. But now the birds' nesting season is over, we can start to clear the vegetation and
get
push
ready
on towards
to
Corton Wood. Yeah.
And get ready to lay the track. So that will, what, double the length that you've got?
Well, it gives about an extra mile, but the most important aspect of it is it'll enable us to tell the story of the South Yorkshire coalfield from its very beginnings here at Elsecar, 1670 with...
And that's what you're going into next, isn't it?
Well,
the educational aspect.
Well, it is, because we feel we are really a nationally important railway, because we can tell the story of South Yorkshire coal from its very beginnings here at Elsecar in 1670 to pretty much the very end at Corton Wood, because that's Corton Wood Collieries where the miners' strike started in 1984. And of course it was, I think, a watershed moment in our nation's history, really, because after that all the heavy industries started to close down. The coalfield itself closed down over the following couple of decades, and the effect on South Yorkshire was quite devastating in a lot of respects. And really there's very little to say thank you to 20 generations, 300 years of coal mining here in South Yorkshire, and we want to become the Coalfield Memorial Railway and have a memorial garden up at Corton Wood where we've got 3 acres, and also to encourage more school visits, because
that's the future of preservation, isn't it?
Well, I believe it is. I think we've got a serious purpose to fulfil, and until we get to Corton Wood, I feel that we're not really able to tell the whole story, and hopefully within a couple of years we'll be able to do that. And
more power to your elbow, Del. And while you're at it, why don't you volunteer to help them get there? It's so easy, and this is such a friendly place. I'll tell you what, let's show you around the fitting shed a little bit. Let's go over to where the Mardy Monster is. Right then, that's it. The biggest locomotive here. As we've said, plenty of room for volunteers here. Harry Stenton's a volunteer. Well, actually, more than that, he owns the Mardy Monster. So, where does it come from, and what work did it used to do?
Well, originally it was built, as the maker's plate suggests, in 1954, which is quite late for steam locomotives.
It's not to burn, is it?
It isn't. I mean, when this were being built, they were scrapping steam and rebuilding with diesels to replace them. So it is one of the last generation of steam locomotives. But it was built for climbing the heavily graded Rhondda Valley in the South Wales area, and it worked at a town called Mardy.
Hence the name.
And it's the most powerfulest. There were only ever 3 of the kind built. The most powerfulest steam locomotive, industrial steam locomotive, I might add, to run them in Britain, in Great Britain, not British Railways, but industrial. And there was only 3 ever built, and this is the sole survivor. And it weighs in at 55 tons. And as I said earlier, it was built for pulling very heavy coal trains up very steep gradients.
What state was it in when you found it?
It was, well, it had not run since 1976, and I bought it in 1998 as a lump of scrap metal. Had I have not have bought it, the next stop would have been Scrapman coming in and making a bid and taking it away to the scrapyard.
Can you still buy these in scrap condition?
Very few and far between. There are still 1 or 2 that are dotted around that's been bought for long-term projects, but quite often they never actually get to be long-term projects. People either can't afford to do them, or they get old and they probably even die off before they get a chance to do anything.
But it made a hole in your bank balance, didn't
it? Certainly did. It certainly did. I'm not going to reveal just how much it made a hole, but yes, I bought it for scrap value, and it's worth As it is now, possibly in the region of £100,000, but it's getting near to its end of its boiler certificate.
Hang on, but didn't I see that it's for sale? Is that true?
What we're doing, because I own it outright, but what's happening is the railway's gradually taking over it, because I'm no spring chicken now. I'm getting a little bit long at the
Tell me about it.
So, no, the railway is selling shares in the Mardy Monster, just so that it stays here long term, and the money that's invested in the shares will be for its next major overhaul, which will be somewhere in the next 12 months to 2 years, depending on the boiler factor on that. But no, the shares are available for purchase, so
And
that
you
we've
can
got a
get
long
them here
term.
when you come and visit.
You certainly
Absolutely.
can. You certainly can.
And more power to your elbow, getting this out and pulling the coaches up and down.
That's right.
And eventually to Cortonwood, eh?
Yes. Oh, that's the dream we've had. I've been here 15 years, and we've just got the level crossing in now. So this will be then a double length what it is now, and it will connect the old Cortonwood collieries with where we stood now, Elsecar, which used to be NCB workshops.
I'll tell you what, I could talk to Harry for absolutely hours and hours. I just might do. While I'm doing that, why don't you have a quick look round this magnificent engine for yourself? What's it like to drive one of these things? Well, I'll tell you what, as the train comes in, let's talk to newly qualified engine man, John Felton, and see what the experience was for him. Because when he got on this, he wasn't a driver, now he is. That's him bringing this engine in now. Well, you seem to make a really good job of that, didn't you? So how was it as far as you're concerned?
It's really enjojoyable, but it feels like you're rattling along at 50 miles an hour when you're probably going about 5 miles an hour.
Anything like a driving test in a car?
Not at all, no. It's just a new skill set I think you've got to learn.
How did you do?
Well, I've told I'm a natural, so I don't know whether to believe that or whether to say that to everybody.
So when we're here enjoying a cream tea sometime in the future, it might be you.
You never know, that's right, yeah.
Thanks for your time.
Okay,
I'll let you get back to your family because it's almost like winning a Formula One race, I should imagine, isn't it?
That's right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, fancy having a go yourself? Well then, get on, open the regulator up, and off you go. Now that's a good steady start out of the station, and well done, no wheel slip. Best make sure we've got enough coal on the fire. And enough steam pressure up. Right, open her up, but remember the speed limit. Now you've got to other end. Now here's this new level crossing that they've just built. We have to stop here because this is as far as the line goes, but pretty soon in the near future it'll go all the way to Corton Wood, and that will be a ride and a half, I can tell you. Still, in the meantime, we'd best get back to the station. So, brakes off, regulator open, and we'll trundle back. Best keep an eye on those gauges, and then we can admire some of the woods. It might not look it, but we're actually going fairly steeply uphill here. Can you tell? The engine's slowing down. Best open the regulator a little bit more, make sure she gets over the top. If you're feeling energetic, you can actually walk part way up the track. Here it is. Not only does it go up by the side of the line, but it also forms the towpath for the Dearne and Dove Canal. Although this bit isn't part of what's called the main line of the canal, it served as a navigable arm to Elsecar itself and brought water down to fill the canal from the nearby reservoir. Some work's already been done on restoring this part of the canal. It's picturesque, and if you like to go fishing, you'll just love it here. But don't forget to get your permit first. Although this part of the restored canal is theoretically navigable, the only thing you'll find floating on it are ducks, and to be honest, they don't seem so keen, do they? Now, we'll be featuring that in another programme a little bit later in the series, so watch out for it. Nice steady approach to the station. Oh, and best let them know you're coming. Are you getting used to the sound that the engine makes now? Careful application of the brakes. And you've done it. You're back at the station to a stop. Congratulations, you've passed. Do you think modest celebrations are in order now that you're a past engine man? I do. Come on, let's go in the waiting room. It's worth seeing as well because they've got lots of souvenirs and wonderful things to remind you of your day here. Actually, somebody else is going out on the engine now and they want to pass the test. But in the meantime, let's have a celebratory drink and the beers are on me. So that's it, that's our day at Elsecar Heritage Railway. Hope that you've enjoyed it and that it's encouraged you to come along and take a look at it for yourself, either for volunteering or just for a nice day out. Simple to get to. If you're coming from Sheffield, you just need the Barnsley train, get off at Elsecar. It's about a half-mile walk downhill to the station here that you've seen now. Come and take part. Just come and ride it if you like as well. If you'd like more information, you can give them a ring. It's a Barnsley number 01226 746 746, or just look them up on the website www.Elsecar Heritage Railway and you've got them and you'll find all about it there. Do what I've done. Come and spend a day here. You'll not regret it.